Did Ryan Reynolds ditch Blake Lively at the premiere of Another Simple Favor to save his own career?
Strangers describe me as extremely disloyal.
Blake Lively's life is crashing down at breakneck speed, and Ryan Reynolds bailed to save his own skin. The mess she created has spun so wildly out of control, it's taking everyone down with her.
That's so gross and weird and manipulative, even if it's true.
Ryan realized if he stuck around much longer, his career would end up as the next casualty in Blake's Hollywood downfall.
Ryan and Blake both now realize if their careers are to survive, they cannot be involved in the same projects because everything will be heavily.
So, where the heck was Ryan Reynolds? That's what everyone wanted to know when Blake Lively strode down that red carpet by herself, forcing a smile for the cameras like everything was peachy. But guess what? Nothing's peachy. The Another Simple Favor premiere was meant to be her big moment, but all anybody noticed was the Ryan Reynolds-shaped gap by her side.
Insiders are spilling on the real reason why Ryan Reynolds left Blake Lively alone on the red carpet amid the Anna Kendrick beef, and it's all about money.
Not a single hand-in-hand shot, zero couple photos, zilch. And don't come at me with he's busy, because this guy makes time to buy soccer teams and write wild Instagram posts. But suddenly, he can't show up to back his wife? Please.
It sounded awful, like to a point like, I'm like, damn.
Naturally, the media went into full-on meltdown. Was it some strategic PR move? Or was it a raging relationship crisis? Turns out it's both. According to a Daily Mail tipster, Ryan and Blake already knew they couldn't keep doing appearances together if they wanted to salvage their careers. Apparently, that SNL gig was a test to see how people would react to them as a duo, and let's just say the response was uglier than Blake's legal strategy.
Ryan Reynolds not show up? I mean, I'm not entirely surprised that he didn't show up, to be perfectly honest, because this was Blake's contractually obligated appearance. She had to be there, guys.
Remember the SNL 50th anniversary show? The one where Ryan Reynolds tried to mind his own business and Amy Poehler hit him with, "Ryan Reynolds, how's it going?" And he blurted out, "Why? What have you heard?" That was not some casual joke, folks.
Oh, hey, Ryan Reynolds. Hey. Ryan Reynolds, how's it going?
Great. Why? What have you heard?
That man was in full fight or flight mode. That wasn't comedy. It was raw panic because he already saw the storm coming. The boos, the backlash, the side-eye stares. Oh, they got it. Maybe it was a gag. Maybe it was a joke.
Publicity stunt last night where they went on SNL and Ryan Reynolds made this silly joke, this really silly joke.
This was the turning point. Ryan and Blake showed up to SNL, probably hoping everyone forgot the blazing lawsuit she hurled at Justin Baldoni in December 2023. But no one bought their power couple act anymore. Sure, some folks cheered, likely their PR squad. But there were boos, tense vibes, and fans looking like their childhood idols just wrecked their legacy in real time.
It wasn't fulfilling for me, that I wanted to be a part of the storytelling, that I wanted to be a part of the narrative, whether that be in the writing, in the costume design, in creating the character.
And who was absolutely enraged afterward? Blake. Insiders say she lost it because Ryan wasn't supporting her "I'm the victim" sob story. He was too calm, too laid back, not giving her that ride-or-die energy she desperately needed.
She seems like a bully. She was such a high-maintenance diva bully brat.
Because let's face it, she wanted him to play the heroic spouse defending her honor. But he just seemed like a guy wishing this nightmare would end. Problem is, Blake can't handle that. She craves control. She wants Ryan to be the flawless husband who stands by her publicly like a prop, not a real person protecting his own image.
Had to show up for this. I'm sure she was contractually obligated to be there. And both of them, Anna and Blake, and I'm sure neither of them really wanted to be there, to be fair. But why wasn't Ryan there? I'm not surprised he wasn't there. I gotta be honest. He doesn't have to be there at every junket. Now,
word is, after that night, she went into full damage control. You know what she supposedly told her pals? That Ryan wasn't taking her lawsuit seriously. Like it's his fault she's out here making the dumbest legal moves on the planet. Oh, Ryan, how dare you not act like your entire livelihood depends on my reckless accusations? How dare you not unravel emotionally right alongside me? The audacity. I think I'll be the victim.
think they do need to do their separate appearances if they need to do them. Really, it's about protecting their separate incomes, the source explained. Blake is unsure about the future of her career because of the backlash she has received. She does not want to have a family with no income, and she knows that Ryan's career has so far survived the fall.
But here's the kicker. After the SNL fiasco, Blake needed to fix her image. And what's a quick fix? A red carpet moment. A chance to look unruffled, successful, thriving. One snag though, Ryan Reynolds. She couldn't risk another public train wreck like SNL. So what's her move?
I didn't like him. Just gonna be straight with you, I didn't fucking like him. So they're both equally repulsive.
She ditches him before he can ditch her. If he had shown up and seemed even the tiniest bit off, people would have seen right through her act. So she arrives alone, hoping fans will assume Ryan's busy, instead of maybe he just doesn't want to be here.
It's kind of, I wasn't that surprised that Ryan wasn't there. It wasn't his movie. It was weird that Ryan was there and it ends with us. If he shows up to every one of her movies that has nothing to do with, I think it would be worse reaction. I do.
And honestly, that's exactly what Ryan was aiming for. Because according to the Daily Mail, he was already rethinking his association with Blake once he saw how badly this was sinking his good guy image. Think it through. This is Ryan freaking Reynolds, the guy whose whole career banks on him being charming, funny, and uncontroversial. A Hollywood sweetheart who can do no wrong.
I can't fault him for not showing up. The fact that he's responding is interesting. It shows they're paying attention and they're
Now?
He's connected to a scandal that's blowing up by the hour. Blake's out here torching Hollywood connections, tossing allegations in every direction, and Ryan is just like, I'd rather not watch my career go up in smoke. Thanks.
No one knew who he was beforehand. Everyone knows who he is now. If he is a smart sociopath, he'll work that to his advantage.
And oh yeah, the biggest factor of all, money. Ryan Reynolds knows how to keep that bank account padded. He's got businesses, brand deals, and Deadpool 3 dropping in July. The man is basically a walking piggy bank, and he's not going to let Blake's PR meltdown wreck his earnings.
She knows that Ryan's career has so far survived the fallout. I would agree with that. It has. He's still going to be Deadpool. He's not going to lose gigs. I do think Blake will have a tougher time getting gigs.
Meanwhile, Blake? She's losing it because she realizes her career isn't nearly as secure as Ryan's. Rumor has it she's terrified this lawsuit will spiral to the point that Hollywood bans her for good.
One of those guys. So they are absolute bullies.
And for real, she's not exactly a major box office powerhouse anymore. Her entire brand has revolved around being America's sweetheart. Take that away, and what does she have left? That's why folks claim she's been pushing Ryan to publicly stand by her, to show Hollywood she's still got influence.
I do think Blake will have a tougher time getting gigs, not because of a retaliation campaign, but because of her demanding authorship. Go make your own movies, Blake. Go make your own movie. You have the funds, the support, apparently. You have Hollywood friends who have your back.
But Ryan? He's not taking the bait. Because he's seen what happens to anyone who stays too close to Blake once things go south. Look at Justin Baldoni. He went from admired filmmaker to public pariah overnight, all because he refused to bend to her insane demands. Ryan's no fool. He's not about to let Blake take him down, too.
I know, what Blake's done to Justin is worse, but we've got such tunnel vision on bad, good, bad.
So now, that premiere snub makes perfect sense. Ryan didn't just skip an event. He's carefully retreating from this entire dumpster fire before it explodes further. And here's the best part. Blake knows it. That's why she's scrambling to control the narrative, playing the strong independent woman angle, acting like she doesn't need Ryan when she's actually desperate for him. Because let's be real, Ryan Reynolds didn't just miss this premiere. He saw the crash coming and decided to bail.
Argue even their solo projects are going to be scrutinized. You guys clearly aren't backing down. You're frustrated with them, and I hear why. I am too. If they really played the power moves that they did in lot.
Blake lively honestly believed she had this in the bag. She filed that S***UAL harassment case against Justin Baldoni in December 2023, expecting Hollywood to automatically side with her because, hey, she's Blake Lively. She probably figured the second she yelled "Me Too," the industry would bury Baldoni and praise her as some fearless feminist champion. But here's the issue. She didn't expect Baldoni to fight back. And not just fight back, He unleashed a $400 million countersuit, blowing up her entire story in one huge move. This wasn't a petty clash. It was one of the biggest celebrity court showdowns in years. Then it got worse for Blake. In February 2024, Baldoni followed up with a $250 million libel lawsuit against the New York Times, claiming they released a pre-planned smear article about him before Blake even went public with her accusations. Yes, before. Meaning that NYT piece wasn't just covering the news. It was part of the scheme. Blake was out here playing chess, while everyone else was playing checkers. Yet she still lost. The deeper you dig, the more this looks less like a normal lawsuit and more like a corny Gossip Girl spinoff. Because now there's a giant cheating scandal. Blake Lively, Hollywood's golden girl, the one who built her brand on being sweet, classy, the perfect wife. Turns out she was chasing Justin Baldoni the whole time. By chasing, I mean showering him with flirty messages and saying cringe things that sound like a teenage fangirl wrote them. She's totally flirting with him. She even told Justin to try it pregnant under his workout clips. Who does that? Who says that? She was so deep in her fantasies, she actually thought she'd get off scot-free. Let's not forget, Justin is married. This wasn't some playful onset spark. It was a full-blown obsession. When Baldoni shut her down, she lost it. Instead of handling rejection normally, she flipped the script and labeled herself the victim. The best part? Justin publicly denied it all. He called her behavior out as unprofessional, and witnesses supported him, saying Blake was the one lobbying for more intimate scenes, rewriting scripts to up the steam factor, and tossing around weird flirt comments. When none of that panned out, she went nuclear and accused Baldoni of misconduct. This lady turned a one-sided crush into a massive legal war. And where was Ryan during all this? Probably by her side, defending her, believing she was innocent. Until he didn't. Because once the receipts came out, Ryan was reportedly mortified. Imagine being him, standing in the middle of this PR nightmare, trying to defend your wife's honor, only to learn she was the problem in the first place. But that wasn't Blake's last humiliating move, because when her case started crumbling, she pulled her most desperate stunt, forging a voicemail. Yep, a fake voicemail. Suddenly, this so-called apology from Baldoni leaked, supposedly admitting he made her uncomfortable. The media jumped on it. Blake's legal team flaunted it as proof that her story was legit. But here's the kicker. It was nonsense. Tech specialists instantly noticed it was fishy. The metadata was off. The voicemail's flow was stiff. Even some words sounded diced up, pieced together, like it was spliced from different audio clips. Within days, Hollywood legal experts began openly hinting that it might be an AI deepfake. Do you understand how desperate you have to be to possibly tamper with evidence in a $650 million lawsuit? If this gets confirmed, Blake could be dealing with way more than a defamation case. She could be looking at criminal charges for fraud. And it gets even funnier. Ryan Reynolds reportedly flipped out when he heard about the voicemail. Sources say he was shaken and furious, because at this stage, he's realizing he's been misled as much as everyone else. Imagine being Ryan, risking your own brand to defend your wife, only to wake up one morning and see she's been fooling you, too. But let's zoom out for a second. This isn't just one random scandal. It's the grand collapse of Blake Lively's entire public persona. She spent years cultivating this pristine Hollywood image, making everyone believe she was classy, poised, and untouchable. And in a matter of months, she threw it all away. She tried to wreck a man's life simply because he didn't want her. She tried to twist media coverage to rewrite the facts. She faked evidence to mask her tracks. And now, she's watching her whole career go down in flames. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni is emerging from this stronger than ever. He stood his ground. He called out the lies. He stayed firm. And now the film community is actually rallying behind him. Studios that once ghosted him are now hitting him up. Industry sources call him the real victim. Blake aimed to destroy him and ironically handed him the biggest comeback story of his career. And Ryan? He's just trying not to sink with the wreckage. Because if he helped blacklist Baldoni or leveraged his influence to push false accusations, he might face serious consequences, too. And knowing Ryan, he's already planning his exit. Because one thing's for sure, the Blake Lively meltdown is far from finished, and he wants no part of her downfall. At this point, Blake Lively's fall from grace is speeding up. But clearly, she decided she hadn't humiliated herself quite enough. So what does she do? She sets up an ambush. Because apparently, messing with the media, faking evidence, and blowing up her own career wasn't sufficient. She had to rope in Taylor Swift and Ryan Reynolds even deeper. Hey Hoover, Taylor Swift, The New York Times. February 2024. News starts spreading that Blake invited Justin Baldoni to her penthouse under the guise of script meetings. She was still holding on to the delusion that she could force him to do what she wanted. But Baldoni arrived at that penthouse only to realize it was a trap. Because guess who was already there? Ryan Reynolds and Taylor freaking Swift. I let go of so much, and I gave it to him. Can you imagine how bold that is? She knew Baldoni wanted nothing to do with her weird rearites. She knew he'd turned her down a million times, but she still thought, if I bring in Ryan and Taylor, maybe he'll finally cave. That is next-level desperation. Insiders claim it wasn't some friendly gathering. It was a calculated move. Blake wanted Baldoni boxed in, wanted him outnumbered, betting that if she had him in front of two Hollywood titans, he'd feel cornered into accepting her changes. This is classic Blake. When she doesn't get her way, she bullies people until they submit. What the heck, man? Get your ego. But guess what? It blew up in her face because Ryan Reynolds finally snapped. This was his last straw. After months of watching Blake spiral, dragging him into lawsuits, and destroying her own connections, he realized exactly what was happening. He wasn't just a kind husband in a tough situation, he was a pawn. Blake had been using him as leverage in her feud with Baldoni, and he'd had enough. In fact, after that fiasco, Taylor hasn't been seen out with Blake at all. No more cute social posts, no more hangouts, nothing. She bailed in a heartbeat because she caught on, just like everyone else. Blake Lively wasn't a Hollywood powerhouse anymore. She was a walking caution sign. And once Taylor Swift backs away, you know the rest of Hollywood isn't far behind. Suddenly, everybody was avoiding Blake like she had the plague. Big execs wouldn't return her calls. Directors wanted no part of her. Her brand deals? They started dropping like flies. L'Oreal, one of her largest contracts, is reportedly reconsidering their partnership because the last thing they need is their star rep tied to fraudulent harassment claims. Then there's Chanel, the fashion giant that symbolizes class and sophistication. Surprise, they might be bowing out, too. Because when your image is built on elegance, the last thing you need is a scandal magnet fronting your products. But the biggest blow? Her movie career. In Hollywood, the moment you look like a risk, they move on. And Blake is looking very risky. Directors don't want a performer who's going to alter scripts, create tension with co-stars, and turn every set into a potential lawsuit. And the real kicker? While Blake watches her career crumble, Justin Baldoni is experiencing a comeback. That's right, the same guy she tried to ruin is now being embraced by the industry. Filmmakers who previously ignored him are now reaching out, because guess what? He's actually talented. And now he's also got the ultimate underdog story. The business is uniting behind him, not because they adore him, but because they despise being played. And as soon as Blake's web of lies unraveled, Hollywood flipped its stance. The sweetest dose of karma, really. She tried to crush a man because he turned her down. She tried to twist the media, manipulate the facts, fake proof, and demolish a life. And in the end, she destroyed herself. Her career's in freefall, her friends are gone, and the industry wants nothing to do with her. And Ryan? He's finally seeing the light. Because the real betrayal didn't come from Justin Baldoni, it came from the person he married.